What's up, guys? Studfit here with Sammy D and Tabor. You're used to seeing Tabor and myself together, but today we are airing the first episode, the first podcast episode of Kart Talk. That's right. It's been in the works between Tabor and I for probably close to about 9 months. We're kind of doing a similar style with the rundown, but it's official. This is the first podcast for Kart Talk. I'm still getting used to the name, but we wanted to kick this off in the most extreme fashion, which is to have one of the most lovable content creators for Mario Kart Tour with us today. So we have Sammy D. Thanks for joining us, Sammy.
What's up, Studfit? Glad to be here. What's up, Tabor?
Hey, glad to be here, everybody. It's nice to finally make this happen. Be good enjoying having Sammy D with us and just see what kind of discussion, what kind of arguments we end up with by the end of the time. We'll see.
We're going to get into some shenanigans. We got a lot of great questions from the members of the brand new Studfit Discord server. We have, in fact, a few questions from our Super Stud tier, which is basically our super members. So we are excited to jump into this. We're going to be covering everything from the future of the game, what's going to happen, as well as also reminisce about some past mistakes we've made. So before I get into any of that, for those of you who don't know Sammy D and Kart Life, definitely check him out as Kart Life on YouTube. I think you're pretty close to about 4,000 subscribers. He's a pioneer in the Mario Kart community when it comes to launching this. Sammy, what brought you to Mario Kart Tour? I know you were a big fan of Mario Kart in general prior to, but what got you into Mario Kart Tour? Who showed you the app? How did you find out about the app itself? And then what gave you the idea to start Mario Kart, and what were some of your inspirations? Take us away.
Right on. Yeah, this is going to be so fun. Thanks for having me. Yeah, geez, man. I've been a Mario Kart super fan since 92. Since, I'm talking release day of Super Mario Kart on SNES. I was at the store buying that game. And with every Mario Kart that's come, I have bought it on that first morning. When I heard the mobile app was coming out, it was a good 2 years before the launch of the game. They announced this very early. Rather, they actually ended up delaying the game quite a bit. They delayed the game beyond the deadline they announced by almost over 6 months. I think it came out in September, and it was supposed to come out by the end of the fiscal year of 2019. So it was supposed to come out, was that March, April, May? Like, I don't know, the first quarter, in the first quarter. And so I was like literally every day, just because I've always been a super fan, I was like Googling like Mario Kart Tour news, just like, is there anything about what's going on with this game? Mainly because I was just like, what is this going to be? You know, I don't love mobile games. I didn't really get into Super Mario Run or Dr. Mario World or any mobile games beyond Nintendo even. But I had this feeling that it's like, they're going to do something really interesting here, and I have to be there for it. You know, and they did a beta, but the beta was only for...
They did a beta. I didn't know that.
They did yeah. And the beta is interesting. There's actually like... There's funny differences with the beta. That's a whole other story. Like rubies were called emeralds and they were green.
What?
And I think like King Boo was a high-end driver, but other than that, like it was the same starting format. Anyway, the beta I think was only for Android users. So I even considered getting an Android and trying to get into the beta just for that. I didn't do that, but I waited, and
thank God,
finally they announced the date, and the trailers came out, and anyway, so obsessed like from day one. I really wish I had rolled tape on day one, just because it would have been fun to look
out there to see if there are videos out there of that beta phase.
Some beta footage was released by some of the video game channels, but they weren't allowed to show very much, like per contract. So
okay.
But yeah, everyone already was analyzing what tracks are going to be in here. Like, here are the tracks shown so far. You know, how many more tracks will there be? All that stuff. So I was following it even throughout that. And then when it comes to creating a channel, I mean, I didn't even watch a lot of YouTube gaming videos until around that time. And I think, like all of us, you know, one of the first things I found was Abdallah covering the game. And so I was like so psyched watching all those premieres when he was reacting to and breaking it down. And he really, you know, even though he's kind of fallen out of the game, he he was like, everyone was looking at him for the content and the hype, and everything he said about, in his defense, everything he said about the game, even on day one, being really harsh on it. I mean, he was always coming from a place of real talk, and I appreciated that too, because for stuff we love, you got to hold a high standard. And even on day one, the game was so critically panned for the pricing and everything. So on day one, people like me were already having to defend the game and just hoping that it would grow, and it really has. So here we are, almost 2 years later, creating a show because we could talk about this game all day. Is the reality. There's so much to it. So yeah. And starting a channel, I guess I didn't know if I felt like I wanted to keep talking about the game more than any of my friends did. And so I guess unconsciously, I think I wanted to find this community, of people like me that were this into the strategy and the meta and all that. And if for no other reason, I was like, you know what? I got a lot of cool toys and collectibles. I could have a better YouTube background than any of these guys out there doing this.
Well, so was that already set up? I'm curious, did you already have
No. I mean, I've had collectibles and things throughout my house in shelves and stuff, but I had this idea. I was I need to make a background, and I could give a go at this and fill a niche, talking about this game a little bit more detailed than Abdallah was, or Carlos I discovered at the time, but he was doing his own thing as a pay-to-win player. So I just felt there was a niche, and I kept telling my friends, I need to do this, and then by the Ice Tour rolled around.
Your favorite tour, right?
Yeah, it was a
paywall tour.
Funny time to start a channel, but I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try it for fun. And to this day, I see this as I probably can or should stop doing it at some point. It was kind of just a whim, and I wasn't intending to become a YouTuber, much like you probably weren't. But here we are, and if I decide to stop doing the videos at some point, I can come on and talk on your podcast, so it's great.
Hey, that is true. Well, you've been an inspiration to me to kind of take that same question. I started late, and that's kind of one of the reasons why Tabor and I connected. We have very different perspectives. I started way later. I started about April 2020, right when the pandemic hit here in the United States. Yeah. Tabor started from day one, and he was, the free-to-play version. I was the pay-to-win, and so we had kind of different perspectives there too. But ultimately, I came in, and I did not know how to drift for probably about the first 3 months of the game. And I remember looking everywhere, and there was no drift video. But I was I remember the reason I found your channel is there would be those challenges that seem so easy to us. That I think it was I would see Go Shiny, I would see you, would be here's how to I think I couldn't even break the time because I didn't know how to drift, so I literally could not beat the time trials. So there's stuff like that where I just started. I was like, there's got to be somewhere online that's telling somebody about this, and then it led me to YouTube, and then led me to your channel. I was like, dude, this guy's thinking in a very strategic way, and I loved it. So thank you for starting and being a pioneer, and definitely check out Carlos' channel. And now we have so many other great YouTubers. There's so many to name. Kevin Garrett, Frenzy Fans, Shy Guy Kart. There's so many awesome YouTube guys that are just having fun out here. We love it.
Yep. Yeah, and Shiny, shout out too, because he was one of the first. I would watch his, how to nonstop combo a track and all that stuff. Plus just the pipe holes and trying to figure out, okay, how do you wrap your head around the strategy of the pipe? It took me many tours to even start to figure that out. So
awesome. Well, I'll get Tabor involved as well, because I think as we do this podcast and we start to get around this, and excuse me because we are kind of literally learning in front of you, but we'll be asking a couple questions, hopefully every time. Some questions that do differ. Things like, what ticket did you invest this past week, or what was your favorite run this week, or what rank track is giving you the most trouble? How many high ends have you accumulated in your daily selects that you've got throughout the week so far, and what's been the best? I think it's called TCP pipe for you this tour. So it's kind of like a tour-to-tour thing. And there's so many pipes. There's the TCP and PCP and DCP, and
there's Mario TPP, right?
Yeah, and PTT. Oh yeah,
toilet paper Mario.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
TPM.
So I was just kind of looking at this. I thought for the Icebreaker, just kind of open it up. What ranked track is giving you the most trouble? We just got access to the tracks just yesterday, and I've been kind of jumping back and forth between all three. But curious to hear. We'll start with you, Tabor, since we didn't really get to hear your origin story, because it's probably similar to somewhat with mine. But what ranked track is giving you the most trouble so far this week?
So, I'm doing pretty well on all of them, but probably the one that's the hardest for me is Chief Island R. It's just simply because it's got a lot of empty spots, and it's hard to keep the combo. There's some empty straightaways and everything, and depending on who you're using, and I'm using Blue Yoshi, actually. I've got him up to level 6. It was a lot easier for me to take him up high yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier for me to take him up high than it was for, I think I have, is it Bowser Jr.? Pirate. I think he's also
Pirate,
on there. Yeah, so I have him just at level 1, so I decided to just go all in on Blue Yoshi. So it's great whenever I get those dash ring, either singles or frenzies or whatever, that can really help me on some of those dry spots. So, but of the 3, that's probably the one that's the hardest for me to keep combo and the hardest for me to get those scores up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. Before we get into you, Sammy, what do you guys think about dash ring? I don't think we talk about it very often, but I got to use it with Swimsuit Mario, and actually it was kind of fun. I don't know why they don't have it as a more popular skill. It seems kind of neglected. What are your thoughts?
I put it higher when Tabor did his recent update.
Yeah.
I've always tried to defend it just because, especially like if it is a new track without glider combo time for you, I agree with Tabor. Even though I have 15% combo time, there are a couple spots on this track still that are just on the edge. And the 20% would be nice. So dash ring, it's just an instant combo keeper. You got to love that. And the frenzy is great. So I never cared that it also boosts your opponents forward because you're going to get first on a good run. So
I don't actually know if it does. I've been trying to really, when I've been using Blue Yoshi, I've been looking, and the opponents go through it, but I really don't see any sort of speed burst that they have.
I noticed
so
that
I
too.
think I'm always catching somebody whenever I'm doing those dash rings or the dash ring frenzies. So I don't know how much of an advantage it is for the other people. Now it doesn't slow them down like some other frenzies do or some other items would, but it doesn't speed them up, which I think is kind of a myth out there of what it actually does.
Are you talking about your dash rings speeding them up or their dash rings?
My dash rings speeding them up.
Wow, okay.
I don't think it does.
But they get sped up on their own?
Yeah.
Do we know that?
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Interesting.
Which is it's still fine. You're going to lose position every now and then in the race. You're going to finish first on a good run, so it doesn't matter, But I think it's an underrated skill.
Yeah.
Why do you think they don't have very many high ends with the skill? Do you think there's any meta level reason why they would keep it away? I guess compared to say triple mushrooms, which does similar things.
There's a handful of skills out there that there's no high ends for. I know Bubble doesn't have a high end for. Triple Green Shells doesn't have a high end for. And
you want a Bubble, don't you?
Those are fine, actually, not having some of those high ends. But there's only a handful of dash rings. And I think I put a shout out for it when we were talking about using Mario Swimwear a couple of rundowns ago. I was just like, it's really good. I think it's really underrated. And those dash ring plus frenzies, I don't know how many dash rings that you create, but it's substantial, and you can really boost up your points and really make up those empty spots.
And the Super Blue Yoshi thing is such a nice twist. This is the kind of thing I want to see. A random super that was kind of hard to get for some people, and then you got to be sitting on 20 plus tickets. And if you were smart, you can take them all the way. It's so cool. I'm 2 tickets away from level 7, even with all my savings. So I'll get them there this week.
And one stat that I came up with this week, or actually earlier today, is I looked at all of the non-coin box courses out there, and right now there's 98 of the 235. And so I did the whole ranking thing like I've done in the past about which normals, which supers, which high ends cover the most non-coin box courses. And of the supers, Bowser Jr. has 6, Green Shy Guy has 7, and Blue Yoshi has 9. So it's one of the reasons why it's my number one super driver out there, just because it covers a lot of the courses that coin boxers don't.
That's and for me, really even if it covers 1 week, just the fact that he's here for this 1 week, that's enough. He's going to help me win ranked potentially. I don't care if he doesn't show up for 6 more months.
Yeah.
He did his job this week, so.
That's really cool. I did not know that. Because to me, I've maxed out my daily select. So I have somewhere in the realm of like 15 whatever tickets. And to me, like when I'm looking at from the outside looking in, looking at, this green shy guy and this blue, I don't know like what it's going to give me. I just know like, hey, I have this thing for ranked, but I have, some other options at like Funky at 7 or SNS at 7. So for me, it's like, I'm just going to keep holding off until I need to, and then I'll use the tickets.
For sure.
And Blue Yoshi,
Sammy,
sorry, one more stat. Blue Yoshi has been involved in 5 of the last 9 tours that he's been around. He's been involved at least once. So, I mean, he's been pretty regular. Wow. He's got a high percentage rate, especially for a super.
Yeah.
Blue Yoshi's the man then. That makes sense. They kind of promoted him right before that tricolor Yoshi pipe then, it sounds like.
Right. Yep.
Sammy,
see, we could talk about just ranked for a whole 2 hours.
Well, I'm gonna manage the conversation to the best I can to make sure that we do have, and just to give everyone a heads up, we do have 3 questions, 2 of which will be video or audio. So we'll try to pump those in. I'll try to kind of get a good gauge. I think the majority of the conversation actually is what's going to happen, some predictions for the future. We got a big update coming. We have an anniversary coming, and I think that's on everyone's mind. So we'll get to that. But Sammy, talk to us a little bit about ranked. Which one's giving you the most trouble this week?
Yeah, well, so Maple Tree was kind of done because I did all my investments. Santa Bowser to 6 finally, Macaron to 6 finally, Strawberry Dome was at 7, got a huge run, almost 48K, just like pretty close to my record for a track. So I think I don't know how much more I could get there. 223 actions. So I'm just working on these other 2. And on LA, it's getting those base points for Shy Guy. I took him to level 5. Crazy move I did this morning after seeing the news about next tour, which I, as everyone knows right now, am incredibly excited for some reason. And I'm just not questioning it because if you can find excitement about even a rally tour, I feel like I've got to a good place. But just the fact that Ninja Hideaway is coming back, Ninja Shy Guy might be there, and Ninja Shy Guy made his top 10 placement with you guys, and I've been wanting to do it forever, and these drivers have been sitting at 1 where I can finally do it. It took all my tickets, and I'm putting it all in, so that is exciting. So now I have to get the base points up, work on that, get the run, get a boombox run potentially, which is extra grinding. But then, just still matching the lines there as I get the base points up and the combo points. So those are the 2 where it's all going to go down from here on out for me.
Good, man. Yeah, I think the one thing I learned from last week's ranked, with Chaco Mountain, is that you can, anytime that there's a coin box driver, you can always get something more. There's so many times where I got a double coin box frenzy and 2 singles, and I was like, I still seeing people's scores better than me, and I have like a good loadout. I should be getting more than this. And I would go back in and get another, 300 points, 400 points, and I'm like, I still can get more. And it's just, that's the way that a coin box driver is. I think that's one of the reasons why some people have gripe with it. To me, it's exciting to know that there's still like room left in the tank there versus hoping that I get another double coin frenzy instead of getting a third frenzy that's a banana, maybe getting a triple coin. I don't know. To me, that just seems like such, long hopes.
I have fun with it too. I really do still with Coinbox. Total fun. And I wouldn't be surprised if I end the ranked week going back to Maple and trying to get a little more.
Coinbox frenzies are so weird though, because you can get a Coinbox frenzy, you could get a single Coinbox frenzy on 2 different runs, and one could be much more lucrative than the other one just because you miss a whole bunch of coins and everything. I find that my best ones are getting coin frenzies and then getting single coin boxers. That's where usually I rack up the most points.
Yeah, singles. And on Maple, I was thinking I could almost draw an overhead map, like in Nintendo Power, of the track and mark where the singles should go exactly, because there are specific spots, just like on Chaco with that curve where the coin box lies out right in front of you. There's a spot in Maple that's just like that. You obviously don't want them on the glide, so you got to get the single boxes exactly right, and then start. Then single coin frenzies are great too. So yeah, always searching for that ultimate run. All
right, so this gives me a good question. Yeah. So let's say Maple Treeway T, you get a coin box, just the single coin box at the first item ticket. Where are you releasing it?
Once you land.
once you land, or I've been playing around with it.
I'm sorry,
hold
on. Sorry, I take that back. The second item box.
Second house. Oh, yeah. Because there's a long stretch.
There's a long stretch.
You have to go through the whole wiggler section, then the whole half pipe section. I honestly, I wait till I'm through the wiggler section, because when they throw up, they could go onto the ramps there. So I get through the wiggler ramps, and then I cross into the tree. And then when I'm on that tree doing those turbos, going to the half pipe, I do it right there on that curve. That's me.
How about you, Tabor?
Well, I don't have Bowser Santa, so that's not a problem for me.
Oh.
But whatever.
Sorry,
I mean, you guys
bro.
talk about your rich things over there. I'm just going to be over here with my gold pass. But if hypothetically, what I would probably do the same thing. I'd wait till we get through that tree section, and then the wigglers. I don't know. It always goes back and forth whenever you have an option of whether you want to take ramps or whether you want to stay flat and get coin boxers, because there's kind of like a give and take. I mean, the ramps are very substantial in your points, especially if you've got a jump boost cart. But you know, I mean, if you can pick up a lot of the red coins, then I think it's going to be overwhelmingly that in favor. So it just depends on where you want to go. But yeah, I try to find the best straightaways that I can, or just a nice gentle curve that will lead me into as many coins as possible.
For sure.
Yeah, I was playing around with a couple options. One is like after I go around that big curve, right where the wigglers are, just like getting a straightaway and just releasing the single box right there. I tried that, but then I looked like the ramps. You're missing the ramps. And then I was like, well, then there would be times where I would go up the ramps and then come down, and then as you're talking about right before those two jumps, releasing it there, but then I would usually get hit. No matter how many bots I got, like somebody would hit me right between them.
And you're always running the risk of a lightning coming out of nowhere, so you don't want to wait too long also, of course.
Yeah. No,
I'm moving to the other room because the lawnmower is going out there. The lawn crew is here.
You didn't tell them that this is the first official
what are they thinking?
Podcast.
Right,
it's crazy.
I'll relocate.
It's crazy how often I get lightning shocked right at the end of a frenzy. It's ridiculous how often that happens. It's so frustrating sometimes.
It's like the game's designed to give you a lightning when you have a frenzy, like 50% or 25% of the time, but it's not programmed smart enough to tell you to do it at a certain time. It just knows to throw a lightning out there at some point soon, and it'll get you during the frenzy. It's really weird.
Yeah, okay. I like that. I'd rather have that than like a green shell, which seems to happen all the time here recently. All right, cool. So that was a good icebreaker there. Appreciate we heard some origin stories, and then got to kind of hear a little bit about ranks. But edietel asked a question. One of the Studfit server stud members asks, most Mario Kart players had a regrettable ticket inventory story. Usually because we didn't know anything about how to play smart when we first started, and we invested in something terrible. For edietel, his specific situation was a level 6 Queen Bee. It was the only high end he had at the time, so he spent tickets on it. What have you guys invested tickets into that you wish you could take back?
So I'll go first. I mean, one of the things that I did, and this was early on before I was keeping any stats or anything, I was just new to the game. I was watching a few videos here and there, but I was just focusing on my game itself. We had those challenge cards that came out, and I was just all about trying to complete as many of those challenge cards because they were giving out rubies left and right with all those challenge cards, and I wanted to do this and do that. And some of the things on these challenge cards is that you had to take either a driver, a cart, or a glider to level 4, level 5, level 6. So the first level 6 item that I ever took, the first item that I ever took to level 6 was Metal Mario. It was one of the high-end drivers that I had, and I was just like, hey, Fireflower, I mean, what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. And I didn't even think about like comparing skills and which one is better. I had a very limited amount of high ends to begin with, but I was just all in with Metal Mario. And that's not necessarily a bad investment because there were so few high ends early on that it was used quite often in ranked. So it really served me well. Yep. But the other one that I'm not too proud of was that I took Fair Flyer immediately to level 4. Because I thought that would be a helpful thing. Also, one of the OG,
that's crazy. I did too,
one of the OG gliders in the game, and then recently, over the last however many months, we've gotten them in Token Shop or Tier Shop or something, or one of the just token prizes, and so it's now up to level 6. And so I use it when I can, but it's trash. I mean, it's just an awful glider, and I wish they'd give us an option to take some tickets away from things and redistribute it, but that'd be ridiculous.
It'd be nice, but ridiculous. I'm with you there. Sammy, what about you?
That's funny. I did the same thing on the Fair Flyer, but I mean, that's early game. That made sense for the early game. I did the same thing with Metal Mario, and he served me well, man, in the first 9 months of the game at level 6. He was one of my first level 6s too. So I don't regret that at all. I mean, honestly, I don't regret that many of my moves. I feel like I spent so much time toiling over every one, even from day one, that I'm pretty good. The only one that, obviously, I think in retrospect, I was so anxious to get Party Time Pauline finally, and when she came back for New Year's, because she was the only. I got Bowser Santa just a couple weeks earlier, and then she would be the only coin box I didn't have. So I guess I don't know if I overlooked all the coverage she had with others, but I had a lot of tickets at the time, and as soon as I got her, I took her to level 5. Now, I mean, it's not the stupidest thing in the world to take all your coin boxers to level 6 or whatever. I mean, we've all basically done that with all of them that we have. But, she is obviously, as we've talked about, kind of the one with so much overlap. So, honestly, I probably could have saved those tickets, a handful of tickets there. But, I mean, that's the only one that comes to mind. I might regret this Ninja Shy Guy move. I hope not.
I don't think you will. I don't have very many regrets either. I mean, the very least, I know that I can sleep well at night because I didn't put any tickets on a Hanafuda, so I feel good about that. What about you, Studfit?
Yeah, I've kind of mentioned this, I think, to you.
Yeah, you have.
I think briefly, but there was, what's the Mario circuit where there's Peach's Castle on the right?
Royal Wasteway?
No, not Royal Raceway. It's you go through the castle. It might be Peach's Castle. You go through and it's like the S curve.
Yeah, it's Mario Circuit.
Yeah, just regular Mario. 3DS Mario Circuit.
It's just called Mario.
So I was new to the game right around when I found out who Sammy D was. Whatever it was, May or something like that. I had to make a decision because that track was in ranked, and I had the oil paper umbrella, the one with the red shell. And when you went through that jump into Peach's Castle, it lifted you a little too much, and I would go over the item box. And so I said, I don't like that. It's not cool. So I went and I put a high-end ticket on a Hanafuda because it had a straight glide into Peach's Castle. Yeah, you know what? I mean, that's...
Wait, you're saying the glider affected your glide?
I felt like it did. Yes.
No.
Try.
Really?
Put it out there. I'm putting it out there.
We'll just chalk it up to your lack of gameplay at that point. I think you could have figured that out a little bit more.
Well, I do have one Hanafuda at level 2, and I always knew this, but I don't remember why. It's the Peach Hanafuda. Maybe it's the same one.
Maybe.
It might have been just that we wanted a high-end glider at level 2. I mean...
Maybe. I think I might have erred on that side, but I do remember I missed the item box. And I don't know if... maybe I didn't know how to go up or down while gliding, and I was pushing that accidentally. But I wasn't with the Hanafuda. But I do feel like that Hanafuda gave me a more of a straight line glide versus kind of like an oval glide. I don't know. Hey, I'm just putting it out there. Let me know if in the comments if I'm crazy and need to get my game restricted from me. So there you go. And
just one ticket at least.
Yeah. A follow-up question, actually similar to that one, and right now I'm kind of chronologically putting these questions together. So this one kind of had to do with a similar, past-focused topic. Before we get into the future, what's coming? This one's from W.D., a.k.a. KartDartr, a.k.a. Wade. He asked...
Cat
Data. Yeah, it sounds like some kind of tartar sauce or something. I think my worst investment yet was probably with the Dark Buggy. I loved the way it looked. I didn't know any of the metagame strategy yet, but just thought it was awesome. Turns out he hates the card. He hates how it feels. I know, Sammy, you feel very passionate about this. And we've all got an opinion on whether or not the carts feel differently based on the size, structure, kind of hitbox aside, just feeling of a cart. What's your thoughts, guys? Do carts feel or handle differently?
I mean, I've always felt they do, but and I remember that someone either posited or they were going off something in the data mining. I don't know if they were going off something in the data mining, but posited that in addition to hitbox size, there is an axis point of the car. So when you turn, one part of the car stays exactly where it is in the center of your screen, but the rest tilts. And so on some carts, you feel like the back end swings wider, but that also might be because the back end is longer. But if the back end is longer, that means the access point is further forward. So if the access point can be in the center or front or back, those three options, which I could see being a thing, because carts in all Mario Kart games have handled differently. It's been a thing in all Mario Kart games. So if that's true, then it could be the case. And then you throw in hitbox into the mix. And like you said, is the hitbox square? Is it like 3D shaped to the thing? Because, we know that on some turns, like the backside of your car can end up nicking an invisible wall. And then it's just that shape of that car or how it is. Maybe that's why it feels like it doesn't handle well. And the little ones might be zippier actually and get you better handling. I don't know. It's all to be determined. But for now, I remember one day I took all three red B dashers, the red, white, and black, and even the Kabuki, I think. And I did like 30 minutes with each one on the same track, same driver, to see if I could tell. And I could. I ranked my favorites in order of which one
between
felt
the B
best to me.
dashers.
Yeah, because they're
all
the same.
the same?
No. I saw they were different.
Okay.
Yeah,
Huh.
Even though it's the same cart, but so yeah. I don't know. I still think so. Until data miners can prove one way or the other, we'll just keep speculating. What about you, Tabor?
I mean, I don't have too many large ones. I know I think Off-Roader's pretty good and pretty big, and the Gilded King and Koopa King and everything. Those are some bigger ones that I have, and I do notice that there's a difference in handling. Although I never got to the point where I felt like it was detrimental to my game. It was just something I got used to, and then I was able to adapt, and I was fine. I don't think it's anything that I never had some sort of rage quit over because it just was, it was just affecting me so much. But I mean, I think everything just is a little different. Just like, each driver has a different skill that you need to adapt to, or each glider possibly, like Studfit says, maybe you can flies you differently in the air. I don't know. But but I mean, I usually can control the smaller ones. Like Happy Ride's pretty small. I usually can control that really well. And some of the other little ones, I do really well with drifting and turbo boost and everything. But nothing that's ever got to the point where I've just hated using a cart over another one.
For me, I felt on multiplayer sometimes. One day I picked the Badwagon out randomly, and that's not a car I have high level. I never used it that much in rank, just myself. I missed out on it early on. And I loved how it handled in multiplayer when I'm really trying to win and like get Kart Pro, for example. And ever since then, I pick the Badwagon every time because I'm like, I know this is going to work. I can drive really well with it for some reason.
Weird. I usually choose the really small carts for multiplayer because I just want a smaller target to be able to get hit by.
That's because you're too smart, Tabor.
Well, and I choose a small driver too. Like I do Pink Shy Guy in the Badwagon. So you have a small driver. It all plays in the driver size, the hitbox. It's all part of it.
Well, so one thing I found out while doing the research on the hitbox is that each cart is like an individual shape. And then that shape, as I mentioned in the video, is resized, big or small based on the driver. Mm-hmm. But there is something out there about weight and acceleration.
Right.
But there's no other data tied to like this cart has this weight or this acceleration. And I don't know if it's completely indirectly correlated as the weight goes up, the speed goes down, or vice versa. But those are points that were, again, this was a Mario wiki page or whatever, so I don't know the validity of it and everything like that, but I do think things do change like that. I know in the past Mario games, like that was a big deal, especially with the bikes and stuff. So I do believe like things can handle a little differently. I do think one point that I kind of want to finally make on that is that while I was doing the hitbox video, I noticed that things were bigger than I thought because I was used to seeing a picture, the little picture, the thumbnail.
Yeah,
because you're like, oh, this is like, say, the search data. Like, it looks like a tiny little cart, and then you use it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this thing is massive. But I think it's all in perspective, right? It's all compared. Like, we're using so many different drivers all the time. We're using so many different karts all the time that maybe you're used to like using Dry Bones Gold, with Surf Sailor. You feel like this isn't that big, and that's the only time you've ever used it, and you're like, oh, that wasn't that big. So to me, it's like it's all in perspective. It's all compared to the things around you, compared to the drivers around you. It's not until like I was actually literally looking at all the other variables removed till I realized, oh, wow, this is a lot smaller or bigger than I thought. So I do think, with that being said, I think from that perspective, I'm just gonna say my transitions. Sammy hates my transition. No, it's actually I don't even want to reveal it because now everyone's gonna hear it and it's gonna trigger something. But with all seriousness, I do think personally that the cards do handle a little differently. That's my official vote there.
Yep.
Good. All right. Well, so we actually have a lot of future questions. So I'll get to those and we'll circle back if we have more time. In fact, let's start with we have Natt, one of the Super Stud members. Natt, he's one of your members too, I believe.
Yeah, Natt's awesome, man.
So let's try to pull this up. I'm going to see if we can include my video.
Wow, Natt in the flesh.
Oh, hold up. I'm gonna pause. Back it up. We are doing this on the
face
fly.
reveal.
All right. So you guys can see him, right?
Yep, we can.
Yep.
Let's go, Natt. Let's hear from Natt.
Okay.
Hello, Studfit. Congratulations on reaching 1,000 sub milestone on YouTube, man. I'm very happy for you because you deserve it. Your Mario Kart Tour contents are awesome and quite informative, which is good for everyone in the Mario Kart Tour community. Watching your rundown videos has been a part of my weekly routine ever since I found you for the first time in January this year. So it has been almost 7 months already after I found your channel. And shout out to Sammy D for recommending your channel.
Sammy D!
I also love you, Sammy. Sorry that I couldn't take part in your first podcast tonight. Due to time difference, it's going to be around 2 a.m. in Thailand at the time of your premiere. So I decided to record my question instead. Here goes. I'm curious about what kind of new content do you want to see added in this game. It could be new drivers, new special skills, new items, new game modes, or anything that would make you super happy for days when it's added. That's my question. Thanks so much, man, for your contribution to the Mario Kart Tour community. And
may the frenzy luck be with you. How cool is that?
Thank
you very much, as well.
For a minute there, Studfit, I thought you were just going to play the first part of that video and just get all the accolades and then stop and be like, well, that was nice.
Actually, I was going to play that over again. No,
yeah, I'm sure.
Seriously, Natt, thank you very much for the kind words. That was really, really nice. It's weird to even think like us doing this is, but this is what I would be doing anyway. I'd be talking with someone on VC or just having fun with my friends anyway. So I seriously, it's a pleasure just to do this with you. But the question, also, Natt, your English is actually really great. I really appreciate you doing that. I heard everything word for word. But for those who didn't, he essentially asked, what's one thing that you would like to be added to the game? And this is actually a question that's pretty commonly posted within the Discord server. We have a big update coming up, and it looks to be pretty massive. That's going to come with something much more than just free rubies. So partly thinking with that update in mind, what's one big thing that you would like to see in the game, either added or changed, and maybe not even necessarily what you expect, but what would you love? What would inspire you?
So I'll go first. I've been as a free to play or actually gold pass only person. My advantage is that I'm a grinder, and so before everybody and their brother hit level 150, I did really well in ranked because I was topped out at 150 for a long time before everybody else got there. So I automatically had an advantage, and that served me really well. And I was able to do really, really well consistently in ranked. And then once everybody started catching up with that limit, with that maximum level at 150, then it's been a struggle. I mean, I've done okay. I've held my own, but it hasn't been as easy at what it was then. So I'm kind of ready. It's been since the cooking tour, since level 150 was made available. And so I'm kind of ready for level 200. I know some people out there are not because they don't like the grind and everything, but that's kind of where I kind of shined a little bit earlier in the game. So that's kind of my number one change that I would like to happen.
How many levels do you predict you'll jump up when that happens? What
a great question.
That is a great question. I don't know exactly. For a long time, I don't know how many tours after I hit 150, I just kept grinding and I maxed out every single new level every tour, and then probably 2 months ago, I just got so burnt out in doing that, not ever seeing, like every new tour came out and I logged in and there was no 200 and I was just kind of a huge letdown. And so I eventually got tired of it and I stopped. So I don't know, probably around 180, I'm guessing, is where I would end up being.
Wow.
I don't know for sure.
I think
just a guess.
But remember, it's harder now. They give you less.
Right.
Remember, so
that is true. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I always did the grind with level with a 200 cc because I could always get a little bit more. And once I got through those first couple runs where the bots were just crazy, they usually settled down, and it was easier for me to stay in first all the way through.
Tabor, I think if you were doing that, you said up until 2 months ago,
probably 2 or 2.5 months ago. Yeah,
I think you'd be higher than 180, in my opinion.
That's awesome, man.
The reason being is that I had this Gold Pass account. I play on like Tuesdays and basically just Tuesdays now. But I was doing Saturdays and Tuesdays just to get the extra coins. And I, every pretty much every tour I go up at least one level just from playing for like 2 hours a tour. So, but Sam, you made a good point. That's prior to, I think it's at level 65 right now because I've been like a part of 65 tours. Because that's just the way it has been. So. You're right, though. It does slow down after 100, and maybe it even slows down after 150. Maybe it even goes even slower.
Exactly.
That's potentially even an option, too. But I think if you were running on 200 cc's for 9 months, every single track, I think you're higher than I think you're 190 or maybe. I'm. It's been a year.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long
I hit 150 in 6 months of like excessive trying. But I still we play this game too much to not be doing that. Now, I do think people that hard crash it, where you swipe up and close out the game hard, those people are not going to be as high as Carlos might be at 150.
And that's my fear. That's my fear because that's what happened to me the first time. Mm-hmm. I saw everyone else jump up a lot, like over 10 levels, which was a lot at that time even, and I jumped up like 4 levels. Like that's it, and I'm like.
Did
That's
we
it?
have
serious?
the reset button back then? Because I think that changed
I don't
a lot
remember.
of strategies.
We didn't, but
and
the same thing happens. I think you lose XP.
Just slightly.
Same thing happens.
Not as much
just slightly.
Not as much as hard reset.
Not as much. And here's also what happens is that it has a certain amount total. So if you're resetting like for an hour, it does get to a certain point where it doesn't go down anymore. From what I remember, again, it was
yeah. That's true. And I don't hard reset much anymore. Carlos is going to have a hard time with that. I try not to do it. I reset only if something really goes wrong, but I have played a lot more this in year 2 than I did in year 1 in general. I play the game more now than I
feel like it's reversed for me.
No, I grind harder now than I used to.
Okay.
So I'm hoping for. I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll go to 200. It could go to 250. That's another idea.
Or 300. Oh my gosh,
that'd be nuts. That'd be like jumping from level 6 to level 9. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, that would probably put people like in too much of a depressing mood.
Yeah,
I think right now they want their. I personally feel like the reason that they've waited this long. Is because they want to welcome new players, and I think setting it to 200, that's just going to take a new player just so long to catch up. Because you remember, like we only had access to a certain number of tracks. We were literally like, I don't have access to enough tracks. I'm literally blocked off from growing my levels until next tour. So I don't know. To me, like that's been the main reason, and I think later we'll kind of talk a little bit about how the game has changed to maybe potentially welcome new drivers. But Sammy, this is anything else you want to talk about for levels, or do you want to jump right into this question about what you'd like to see?
Yeah, nothing else to say about the levels. That wouldn't be one of my like top wishes. I go way bigger in my kind of grandiose hopes and dreams about the game. I mean, since Natt mentioned original characters, I know that's not like an update related thing, but that's always been my number one hope for the game is original characters. More of them frequently. I've I've almost given up all hope because it's been a year since the Nabbit King Bomb thing. I really thought that was going to be the start of them coming in now that they kind of got their feet with the game, and it didn't happen. And I've just accepted at this point. So, I remember Abdallah said, don't worry, all the characters are going to come to the game eventually. I don't think that's true. I don't know if that's true. So, me getting Kemek, whatever, I'm just assuming it might not ever happen. So that's always underneath everything, in terms of actual updates. I mean, to me, I think that even with like the token shop and Coins of Plenty and all the great things they've added, the tours feel long. Week 2 always feels grueling. We're always desperate for that new tour. So any kind of new mode to give us something more to do. Not that we need more to do. I mean, we usually have a lot to grind or ACR to work on. But I mean, if they worked out a way to do battle mode really well, if they worked out a way to do a time trial mode like I've posted about or talked about in the video, where the first week you have one track and you have to go for a time trial ranked cup just with a bunch of other random player times. And if you win, you get 25 extra rubies. It's like a whole separate ranked, like something like that. Or battle mode. I don't know how they're going to figure out how to do battle mode in this game, especially with the auto driving. But I know they'll figure out a way when they do, and it'll be something fresh to bring in. And like we've said, like they always surprise us in these updates with things we never would have seen coming. So I want to see what they do there. Like, what are the features and modes that we wouldn't have ever predicted that they're going to bring in? I think of crazy little ideas. Like, I've always thought it'd be cool to have a PAL block that's not an item in the game on racing, but it's a item you get as a gift or reward or for racing a certain amount of times or something, and you get to use the PAL block once per tour to reset the daily selects, re-roll the daily selects. So say there's a day that, you have a terrible daily selects and you're desperate for a ticket and you have one PAL block per tour and you can use it once. You drop it and it reshuffles your daily selects. I don't know, these kind of random ideas that are just kind of off the wall, kind of just curious to see what they do. And I hope there's a lot. I hope there is a lot to the new update. It's about time for some new things.
I would also love new characters. I was just doing a quick tally. Right now, we have 19 drivers in the game with the word Mario in it. We have 14. We have 14 drivers in the game with the word Peach in it. So I mean, these alts are great, and that's what we're going to get next tour as well. Another Peach alt, and that's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But original characters would just be awesome. The other thing that I was going to mention is that if Nintendo really wants people to play the game more, they need to incentivize those people that grind. And wouldn't it be so cool if if they randomly threw a ruby in where there was a coin on the course, not all the time, and in just random places.
Ruby in where there's a coin.
Just like just going out there and just trying to keep your combo and doing whatever, and then boom, there's just a random ruby that you picked up. That'd be awesome. Man,
yeah, I love it. Or something, yeah, I love that, dude. Like a hidden, or in Mario games, there's like golden, blue coins, and obviously we've seen them in a couple of the things. But what if there was 20 blue coins scattered throughout the tour, and if you happen to find them, it was whatever, something like that, or a ruby. I love that idea.
Yeah, and by the way, just heads up, Sammy, I think your internet, we may or may not be seeing your video, but we can hear you great. I think it actually, your video quality actually got worse as you moved into that room you're in. Just, you might keep that in mind. For me...
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, out of anything that I could pick, it would have to be that cities were rotated in with everything else in the game. That is my number one request. That would keep me so much... more enjoying this game and keep me motivated. That one thing would do wonders for me. That would just be so much fun. And think about just being able to talk about it. Oh no, we lost Sammy. Hopefully he'll get back in.
I'm sure he will.
But think about it, Tabor. You and I talk about city tracks, non-city tracks, and going through that. Having cities immersed in those, that would switch everything up. And I think that would be a great thing to do in a big update like this.
Yeah, there's a give and take to that, because one of the things that I had mentioned, I think, on the rundown a couple times ago is that we have around 60 to 65 different course sets Like, Chaco Mountain is a set, LA Laps 1 is a set, LA Laps 3 is a set, and all the different variants within that set. So if you take all the city courses out, we're seeing we're left with about 40 different non-city course sets, and we get about 10 to 11 sets per tour. So right now we're seeing each one, if they do at an equal opportunity randomness, then we would see each set about once every 4 tours. So that's about once every 2 months. So if you throw in the city tours and all that, we would see it about once every 6 tours or once every 3 months. So, I mean, we would see more of what we like, but also we would see less often of the certain courses that are non-cities.
Yeah, no, I think, great point. I appreciate you talking about that. And I actually have a follow-up question. I want to look this up while I'm talking about this, but what would be the number one Coinbox driver that would be have their value increased in the case that cities were mixed in?
Yeah, I'll look that up.
While you're doing that, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a 1-to-1 ratio. Like, it doesn't have to be mixed in evenly, but maybe it's like one city is thrown in every tour, as just like that reverse, regular trick, so technically 3 tracks out of 36. Like, that wouldn't hurt anybody, but to just not have them at all, just to me, like, that would be so much fun. That would be my number one request. Now, that's for requests. I believe I have another question from Jeeves, which is also a member of your channel as well, Sam.
Yeah,
right?
a whale captain, in fact. Yep.
Hey, turn down your mic a little bit. You were just really loud there.
Sure.
I'm going to go ahead and try to see if I can play this again. Let's check this out.
Hey, gentlemen. It's Jeeves here. First of all, Studfit, just want to say congratulations on the new adventure with the membership going on. I am really glad to be a part of it. And Sammy, you too. I just joined, so looking forward to continuing and having some fun with you guys. I guess my main question right now is what ways do you think Nintendo's going to do to keep the game fresh? I think some casual players might be finding it a little boring now. I just want to know what your ideas are and how to keep things interesting. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for my question, and we'll talk to you soon.
I have an answer. I have an answer to your inquiry. If you want to address that before we get started.
Yep.
So I was just looking at all of the. There's 11 Coinbox drivers right now, and there's quite a few of them that have at least one city track as part of their top shelf. The one that has the most city tracks that would benefit the most if we don't separate those into city and non-city would be what Sammy had invested in, and that's Party Time Pauline. She actually has 6 city tracks in her top shelf inventory, and then Mario Hakama is second with 5. So I think those two would get the biggest boost. I think Gold Cooper Free Running has 4, so he would also be boosted even a little bit higher than what he already is, and he's pretty high he's already close to the top 15. But those two would be, those 3 I think would be the biggest jump.
I was surprised to see Koopa at the bottom of your list that you released, I think it was a day or two ago, about the percentage of somebody in ranked. I just found that really interesting. It's kind of hard to talk about versus showing it, but Tabor put together odds of items as they were being released, what percentage they were in ranked. And obviously, newer items, they're usually in 1 or 2 tracks to release, and then that percentage, unless they're a part of like 2 more tracks, that percentage is just going to go down. But there is like a peak where they're still new, and Nintendo knows that like unless you put all your tickets in there, it's going to be hard. But anyway, there were a couple 2 points that really stood out to me. One was that Dry Bones Gold was much higher than some of the even newer Coinbox drivers, and higher than Peach Vacation, higher than Pink Gold Peach. But then Bowser Santa was really low. Now, I do think that will change in the winter, which is in summertime and springtime, where it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a lot of his tracks. But anyway, at the very, very bottom, Gold Cooper Free Running, I think it was like 8% or something like that.
Yeah, those 3 that I said would benefit the most are actually the three bottom most on that list that I gave you. Mario Hakama is only like 4.6%. Gold Cooper Free Running is 8%, like you said, and Party Time Pauline is a little bit higher than 8%.
So to go back
There you
to
go.
Jeeves' great question is it's different than Natt's in the sense that if you were Nintendo and you wanted to re-engage the day one players with this update, how would you try to keep things fresh, or what would you do to be able to get those players? Because I do think, and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit later, but they're doing a lot of things to get the new players excited. But how do we focus on the players that have been playing for a while and they're maybe starting to get burnt out? What would be that update be?
I know a lot of those players. I've got a lot of old friends who always played Mario Kart games, and they played this game. They tried it out, and some of them are, live here in Nashville, some in other states, but we texted about the game, and these are some of the players who have fallen off. And by the way, if my mic's a little better, let me know we're having an issue. So.
Still a tad high, but I think it sounds good to me.
So I've seen some of those people fall off. 3 or 4 friends who've actively said, "I'm out. Let me know if something really cool happens." And
have you notified them yet?
Well, I do tell them when cool things happen, like the Ninja Tour and that kind of stuff. But what I've noticed is those people are kind of the 30 to 40-year-old Gen X original Nintendo fans who they really do want to see more original characters, more cool retro tracks. Like Double Dash has a huge fan base. I don't know if you guys know the game or not, but it's the GameCube Mario Kart. And, the people who play that, there's only one Double Dash track in Mario Kart Tour, which is crazy.
Which one is that, by the way?
It's, Brain Fart.
I've never been on that track before.
Brain Fart RT.
Oh, nice.
No, it'll come to me in a second.
Okay.
But point being, the nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
We were in the VC, and our good mutual friend, Jay, NHJ, you guys might have heard of him.
Yeah.
Talked to him on the
Love
Discord.
Jay.
He's one of my mods. He's one of the best players I know, best minds on the game. And he was talking, he was just trying to be real talk about this whole issue with characters and said, look, around the world, they're releasing Marios because people, kids, everything, they probably just pull for Marios. They want Marios. It's Mario Kart. We overlook the fact that we're in this bubble where we want these niche, obscure characters like Spike or Kamek, whereas the average person doesn't even know who that is. However, I think to answer specifically Jeeves' question of what would bring those players that are starting to wander a little bit, it would be more cool, original characters and retro tracks that have a nostalgia to them, not
So basically,
bowling Wario or something random that's going to happen next time.
So basically, what you're saying is the opposite of what I wanted, which was I wanted the city tracks intermixed. You think that it would attract people to?
No, I wouldn't say against the city tracks. I think that's cool too. I think it's just when we see a filler tour, it's usually because they're just redoing another SNES variant, or they're just repeating a track or something like that. But if let's say Kamek came to the game, I know all those people who left the game would be, oh my god, I'm logging in, I'm getting those return rubies, I am pulling, I'm back.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, I like it.
But then little things too. I mean, all the things we've talked about. I think they kind of messed up expert challenges as an idea. I originally was really hoping that the expert challenges would be every single bonus challenge would have an extra threshold. So on Ring Race, you have to get all the rings, and that's an easy example. But what about Smash Small Dry Bones? What if you got 5 rubies for smashing every small dry bone? I mean, it would drive you insane. But these kind of things were you have little extra things to work on.
Yeah,
I don't know, those things too. Keep it fresh. Yeah.
Okay, Tabor, what do you think?
I think I have a little differing opinion a little bit. First off, Sammy, was it Yoshi Circuit? Is that the Double Dash one?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, that's what.
I hate that. I don't like that track.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's so curved, so
it's a
windy.
finger burner,
it sure
as I
is,
say.
Yeah. But here's what I kind of came up with. I know that some people are getting burnt out. So before I started playing Mario Kart Tour, I was a huge Madden player, mobile Madden on Android on my phone. And so I played that for a long time. I was actually the commissioner of a league, and we were in the top 30, I think, in the game, and we were doing really well.
That's cool.
And just, and there was a lot of good things happening to that, but they started adding so much and so much and so much and so much that in order to get your daily requirements finished, it took you like 2 or 3 hours. And I was just getting ridiculous because they just added so much content to that game. It just you had to go through so much. And I just got burnt out, and I eventually just kind of, once this game came out, this was kind of like my switch, and I just gave my reins over to somebody else. It was like, I'm done. I'm going to go on to other things, and I came here. So, like, I think my perspective is that I like new things. Obviously, any updates are always great, but I don't want it to be thrown in everything at once. I like the rotating thing. Like Kart Pro is not an every tour thing. It just kind of comes and goes when it does. And that's kind of what I want. I don't want so much to be added that this is my life, more so than it already is. I want it to be able to, I want it to be able to just, I want some variety for sure, but I don't want it to be all encompassing and everything going on. And I think the other thing that I'm realized is that over the past year, we've had a lot of different things being added to this game. So I know some people are still going to get burnt out. I know some people are having differing opinion than I do, but I see, from being a day one player, I see all kinds of things. Like the all clear pipe became available about a year ago. The today's challenge part took over the daily things that we had, which I think is big improvement. Kart Pro came in, the ability to send and receive coins with friends, multiplayer challenge cards, premium challenge cards. We've been having consistent night
token shop, tier shop.
We've been having
and then the summertime celebration. Just
for sure.
I mean, they took 3 normal tours and they made an event out of it. and that alone does so much.
And every tour we always have a 9% high end pipe. I mean, it's been pretty consistent over the last thing. Plus the L3 and the L6 and ranked rewards, and they're giving gold pass rewards for those people that are consistently doing gold pass. Ruby acquisition has been much more generous lately. So, I mean, they're doing a lot of things that we have been asking for, whether we've asked for it or not. I think there's a lot of great things happening. Now, can things be fixed? Can things be improved? Of course. But I'm just more of like a glass half full type of person, because I see all kinds of things that they've done that have been a huge benefit to this game.
Yeah, that's well said. I mean, I think you're right. I think we've all kind of, this idea of fixing ranked cup. I mean, that used to be like all everyone talked about. And we've just accepted now that ranked cup seems to will never be fixed. And even what does that mean? And how do you fix it? And is it even possible? That might be another thing. I think some people feel like, oh, this is just hopeless. I never get first place. But those people, maybe they're not into the game as much and don't have kind of, honestly, like kind of what it takes to make the right investments and grind and do your best. I mean, maybe they're not interested.
I think like having what it takes is kind of a tough comment, but I think no. But I think you have a very, very valid point. To where
you know what I mean is that if they lose interest, it's just because they're losing interest in the game. You can't really. Well,
I mean, they want to get a double coin frenzy and move on and not have to get that third frenzy, or not have to get every single piece. And like I said, it's not like can I? It's just like I just don't. It's not the highest priority in their life, and they're not going. It's not going to take twice as much time. There's a point of diminishing return where some people just said, "Hey, you know what? This is where I'm drawing the line. I'm willing to put this amount of time in, and I'm content with this." And those people do have to be ready for third through fifth place, sixth place. That's going to happen. Versus like I think if you put twice as much time into it, you could get second almost every tour at least.
And I totally see where they're coming from, because I mean when you have a level 6 or a level 7 coin box character, and you're out there and you're grinding and you're doing race after race after race and you don't get a single coin box, it's frustrating. You're like, I mean, I've got the best of the best. Why am I not getting, what I want? So I get that, but that's just part of the game. I think the grind is kind of just a integral part of it. You just got to keep going. And if you're willing to work hard enough, then you're going to get what you want, but it's not going to come the first time.
Yeah, I agree. I will say I enjoy the grind of things. I like working out and like I like the small incremental progress. But I will say this game has so many things to do And then,
You're
like,
right.
I hate that I
You're
have,
right.
like, a second account because, like, anytime I'm taking away from, working on one account, it's become, like, an obligation to where I almost, like, regret I built it for my son, and I was like, I'll just get the free rubies. Like, it's free rubies. You got to get them. But then, like, then you got to.
And you want to do better. Yeah,
exactly. It's a slippery slope. But the point is, for me, it's like, if I'm grinding for ACR, and then I have to like slip into multiplayer, then I got to slip into these challenges, and then I have to use base points. I have to there's a lot to me. Like there's a little because I do ACR, and that's probably the biggest thing. Is like that's such a overwhelming task that to do anything else just seems like work. But for me, that's why I really really like Lucky 7 players, Lucky 7 drivers. It's because I can get my Lucky 7, maybe a coin of something else, and get off the track, walk away, and feel like I have checked that box. With a coin box, I never feel like I checked that box. With a boombox driver, like to me, like that box, I don't even know where that box is. It's like, what's going on? To me, like I'm not dreading. It's kind of like a nervous joy to one day be using Ninja at level 7 double uncapped, because I know that day's coming. I just can imagine walking away from my phone 3 hours later and not having that boombox.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's less like the things I'm suggesting. You're right. We don't need more stuff to do, actually. So that I said, but maybe it is like new cool items that also produce really high scoring runs that rival coin box. I don't know what it is. We can't conceive of it, but maybe Nintendo could. Or what if Lucky 7 came up more frequently with new characters to the point where Lucky 7 ended up beating Coinbox because there are more of them and it comes up more often. I don't know. I mean, just kind of maybe it has to do with items and again characters.
I mean, just Sammy, think back to day one. I mean, when this game first came out, what did we have to do? We had to race, we had to compete in ranked, and we had to check our daily selects. That was it. I mean, that's it. That's all that we did. So look how far we've come. I mean, they've added so much to this game.
I know. No, it's amazing. And I do also want to shout out what Kevin Garrett said. He made a video with some suggestions for the game. And the interaction between the developers and the community. This is something I would like to see improve.
I like that.
And that would create more excitement there. Just that alone. That's something, nothing would even change the game. It's just like, be it social media or teasers about stuff that's coming, or better response to the community. Like Mario Kart Tour is known for the devs kind of like overlooking the things that the fans have been asking for, whereas other games like that even DNA made, like Pokemon Masters, they will address specific fan concerns all the time. So that's another, just throwing that out there.
That's a good point. We actually have a similar question, but it's going to take our conversation a different way. This one's actually from Hero of the Skies. You know him very well, Sammy. He asked a question very parallel to what we're talking about, is that there's a huge update coming in September. What kind of changes, or I'm inserting the word predictions, do you think that we'll have? Why? Because you heard, apparently this update is so big, it's breaking obsolete phones. What kind of update is going to be so big that it will break phones? And specifically, I want to ask you this. I know, and kind of to frame the question a little bit better, Sammy D, you, like myself, played Pokemon Go for a little bit. I just was looking it up here. Pokemon Go has made more than $5 billion in the last 5 years, based on like the first 5 years of playing the game, and in 2020 alone, it spent $1.3 billion. And so, you've seen this game. It was very similar to Mario Kart Tour. And again, I'm only using that example because I actually didn't play video games for like 10 years before stumbling on Pokemon Go and then on to Mario Kart Tour. But from this perspective, you think about this game and how, like, say, Pokemon Go, how different it was. At first, you just caught Pokemon. Now then you have raids, and then you have raids you can do remotely, and then you had friends inviting you to raids, and now it's like this full blown thing that there's so many things. And in the same way, I do think Nintendo is doing that with Mario Kart, and we've loved this new CEO. She's great. She seems to be giving us rubies all the time, but something big is happening in September. What are your predictions of what's going to happen?
You going to me first? I didn't catch the beginning of that.
It's a tough question, so whoever wants to handle that one first.
I'm keeping my expectations low. I'm just going to say that right now. I think that old phones will phase out. So just to be totally cover all the possibilities, there's a chance that it isn't that big of an update, and it's just kind of for the performance of the game and things like that. And maybe they add, the next level 200 and a couple of minimal things like that. But it might not be like a level 7, kind of whole new modes, game-changing thing. Battle mode would be cool. I do think the badge that we have for the balloon battle is interesting. Battle mode's been a fan favorite. Even when the game launched, a lot of those fans who decided actively to not support and play the game, they were like, it doesn't have battle mode. I don't want to play it. They want to play head-to-head with each other, like some people love with multiplayer. And again, I still can't figure out how they would do battle mode. But if it's going to get me some more rubies, I will do battle mode. You know what I mean? And I want to see what they do with it. So I could see that happening. And it just helps fill out that boredom that we get in the tour. So, but I don't know. I'm keeping my expectations low.
For me,
what do you think,
yeah,
Tabor?
for me personally, with the timing of it, it's coming in September. Now, I was looking ahead, and we're if we continue to get tours every 2 weeks, and the update comes at the beginning of a new tour, it's either going to be September 8th or September 22nd. Those are the 2 dates in September.
Good looking out.
So whether it's early September or late September, it just depends, but either the 8th or the 22nd. So I think, because, think about when you play multiplayer. There's so many times that I play multiplayer and I shoot a red shell at somebody and I see them spin out, but then all of a sudden they're still ahead of me, because we can't see what defense they've had, or we can't see what's going on, and it didn't affect them, but I thought it did. And then next thing I know, they're where they were. So there's still I think some technical glitches in all of this. I mean, it still works out fine at the end, but I think the fact that they're going to be upping the technology and making some other phones obsolete is going to end up improving some of that. So I don't think battle mode could exist right now with where the technical aspect is, with all that's happening. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to try to address that. Whether battle mode is going to be on the early horizon or not, I think they're on their way to that. But I see it to be probably the opposite of what Sammy is. It's not that I have big expectations, but I see this. They're giving us like a 2-month head start on this update. I know it's because of the phones, but they're giving us this update, and I mean they got to know our anticipation is going to be high by the time September gets here. So if we're ready for a huge letdown, then that's on them for letting us know 2 months ahead of time. So there's going to be something. I'm not going to give any predictions, but I think it's going to be something pretty monumental that's going to be on the horizon.
I think you raise a great point. They're still pushing multiplayer, even though it's a lot of people don't play. Like there's new multiplayer challenges right now that are out of nowhere for no reason.
Kart Pro.
Kart Pro has been a regular part, and then if they did improve multiplayer in other games, like Nintendo has been upgrading all their online servers for their Switch stuff, so that multiplayer can work better. They're trying to work on that as a company. They upgraded Mario Party to work better. New games like Mario Golf and even at SNES Online or NES Online, you can play old games with friends. They're trying to improve that. So I could see them trying to improve it so that people would actually use it more, and then maybe they'll keep it as, multiplayer challenges are always part of the game. A lot of people probably don't want to hear that, but if it were improved, they might enjoy it. And then Pokemon Go too, when they updated and had more power in the game, graphics and visual elements of the game improved, and that's happened throughout Mario Kart Tour. I looked back at some old videos of just how the interface looks with the menu design and how everything works and flows and the graphics. Some people say they'd love to see the characters slightly moving when you're looking at their card. I don't care about that one as much, but like if the tracks themselves had just even a slight bump in the graphics, it would be awesome. So it could be just performance stuff like that, which would be great.
Yeah, I think you guys make great points about the bandwidth and lag and whatnot, and on top of that, I think when you're driving, every split second counts, and so it is tough to be playing multiplayer where you're interacting with somebody else somewhere else. And I think your phone having a newer phone might help with that, but I still think it's going to be a really, really, really big hill to climb to be able to get like a true performance, like quick seconds. I mean,
yeah, well, because you can't connect directly to a local area network. Like on Switch, if you want, you can hardwire in on even the new model they're doing, or with an adapter. With a phone, you can't do that. You just got to be close to your Wi-Fi router, basically, and have great service.
So that's what I'm thinking about is maybe there's been in the works a specific type of technology, like artificial intelligence or something that's been able to pick up so far where your tendencies are. You can go within this range, 30% range, 6% range here, and they know when you're making a turn, you're probably going to get hit. And so when someone makes a release, they can start to like get a little bit more refined prediction of what's going to happen. And then, but that technology does need to maybe be on a new data frame or something like that needs an update. So in my mindset, the answer, I'm kind of taking what Tabor's saying and saying yes, but no. Here's kind of my prediction as to why. Now, here's to kind of take things two steps further. You guys kind of stole a little bit of thunder, but my prediction of what's going to happen is going to be around multiplayer. But I think that there's a lot more that they can do with that. One of the reasons you guys may not know this about ER, but it's a clan. What is a clan? There are clans in other games. Originally, again, I think I had this story right. I'm actually the leader of ER right now, but I was talking with many years ago with the original leader, ER Dad, who was talking about how the clan started to begin with, and they thought that you would have to be on teams or that you would have to work together, and the clan could kind of unite and work together to be able to achieve things or unlock things. Now, it never really happened like that, but I do wonder if maybe the game does incorporate clans or does be able to create.
Is that what Tabor was talking about with Madden or whatever? Is that how it worked?
Madden. How did Madden work, Tabor?
We had leagues.
Not to butt in, but yes.
No, you're good. So we had leagues, and you had to join a league to be able to play, and then each person did individual drives against another league, and you could choose. You had a league versus league, and then you chose which person you were going to play, and we usually mapped out by team level of where our players were and who we wanted to compete against, and then depending on how you did on your drives, they scored that to work it out. But that's, I mean, in a way, it wasn't. But
it was built into the game.
It was built into the game. I mean, it was multiplayer, but it wasn't real time though. They had their set defense. I had my set offense. I played their defense. They didn't play me back. I just played the defensive players that they had, and the better the team they had, the harder it was for me. But there was always, you had umpteen different plays that you could run to try to good, and then they had certain plays that they could block, so you wanted to try to not always choose the same play or the most successful plays. It was all weird like that, but it wasn't head to head. It wasn't real time, but there was some strategy involved with plays that you ran and plays that they blocked and things like that.
Yeah, so part of me wonders, like, maybe they have, think about, like, for you, Sammy, with Mario Kart, with Pokemon Go, it's like they have that battle seasons, and it's like for, like, a certain, 2 months period, you do, like, different levels of seasons, and you can go up a level, and then, I don't know, like, maybe they have, like, a tournament at the end or something based on, or your ranking. I don't know. I do think that they've been pumping us full of, like, you need to play multiplayer, you need to play multiplayer, you need to play multiplayer. Like, almost like training us to get used to a very unique thing. I was kind of doing some research just on, like, things that happened with other Mario Kart games. Apparently with Mario Kart 8, they also released some kind of, like, chat session. Or be able to communicate with one another. Yeah. So these are all things we're doing offline, right? So like we're in voice chats, or we're doing like World Cup for Mario Kart Tour is all unofficial to Mario Kart Tour. So what if they do it officially and they can make an event out of it, like kind of like how Pokemon Go Fest is, like they have people flying in and paying
Mario Kart Tour Fest.
For Tour Fest, there you go. So I don't know. I think that they're going to do something with multiplayer. They're going to do it under the official Nintendo banner and try to steal revenue from that. So that's kind of my prediction. It could be battle. I don't think that they're going to start out with a battle mode like tournament or anything like that right off the bat. I think that multiplayer is built up to a point where you have to do something with it. Because I tell you what, we did this members multiplayer Mondays. Sammy, you were with us. Tabor, you were with us.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a blast?
It was fun.
So fun.
I mean, Tabor, you didn't do that much winning, so it maybe wasn't as fun for you. But
damn, jeez.
No, I'm totally joking. the main point though is that like multiplayer actually is a lot of fun when it's organized and you feel confident that things are happening in real time. So that's my point. Is Tabor did a great job. My point is that like multiplayer actually is fun, but like I don't. The reason I'm not on any multiplayer teams through ER is because they play it like on like Sundays and at a certain period of time. I play this game on the toilet. I play this game like in between things that I'm doing.
That's the second time you've mentioned being on this week.
You have.
Well, I'm on the toilet a lot apparently. No, my point is that like I'm playing the game in between things. I'm a dad. I have a life. Like I'm playing in breaks between like obligations and things that I have to do. So in my mind, like that's too much structure. But there might be a way that Nintendo has figured out a way to leverage multiplayer.
Well, here's the other.
I will say, like, go ahead.
Sorry, here's the other thing about battle mode if it gets introduced. When you think about when multiplayer was introduced, because it was not original with the game, they actually did like a beta version for Gold Pass players.
True.
And those Gold Pass players kind of just tested it out and did it for a while, and then I don't know how many tours that went on for before they made it open to everybody, including non-Gold Pass players.
I think like 6 weeks.
So something like about 3 tours. So with it being such, I know it's kind of similar to a multiplayer, but it's going to have a whole different dynamic, and I could see them doing something similar to that as well.
Yeah. I just want to close out this topic by once again reminding everyone to keep low expectations, because when they roll out things, they often feel a little unfinished. They did multiplayer and it felt a little like they could have waited 6 more months, maybe worked on these things they're working on now. I mean, they didn't. It is what it is. But or like landscape mode, they rolled it out in the control. You couldn't adjust where the controls were. So I just want to keep. I think people with this phone thing. I don't know if Nintendo has ever said a big update quote. I don't think they've used that word. So I just want to keep expectations low, and then you can enjoy the game. If you have low expectations, there's nowhere else to go but up from there. So.
It's part of the reason why I don't tell people there's going to be 7 high ends and a 50 pipe. But look how that turned out.
Wow.
Well, I'm only using that as a segue because Hero Disguise, again, 25, asked this as a follow-up question. Ever since the disastrous Hanafuda pipe, lately Nintendo's been very generous with the special pipes, don't you think? For sure. First, the tricolor Yoshi pipe. I was a big fan, but it was generous. Pirate pipe, and now this gold pipe. Will they continue this trend from now on, giving us spotlights in 50 pipes?
I'll be real quick, and then Tabor, you're the pipe data.
You might drop out on the audio,
but yeah. I mean, I think like these events. Yeah, I'm back. These celebrations. I mean, I think they'll. They found a way to basically make an anniversary celebration, a holiday celebration, a New Year's celebration, a half-year celebration, and then a summer celebration. And that like gets you through the year. And every time they do one of these, they can kind of do little mini climaxes and release a special pipe that has a guaranteed spotlight, some new gold thing or some new must-have item. And I think they'll continue with that. I'm glad to see it's improved, but I'll let Tabor speak to it since he's the data guru when it comes to pipes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the main question is just about the 50 pipes. Is that right, Studfit? Just how...
Yeah, they've been pretty generous in general. What do you think about how their generosity will continue? Is it just like a summer celebration thing, or will it continue? And then also, on kind of a side note, Spotlight specifically, they've been more involved than they hadn't been quite for some time. How do you feel about both of those continuing?
I think personally, I think it's going to be cyclical. I mean, whenever they have some sort of major event, like an anniversary or a celebration, like this 3-tour celebration, we had it during the whatever that was with the Ninja Tour was on there.
1.5.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then we have this summer one, and then we have an anniversary coming up. Something I also mentioned on the rundown is that this is tour number 48. The Versus Tour is going to be tour number 49. Right after the summer celebration is over, we're going to be on tour number 50. Whether that means anything or not, who knows? But it's a nice round number. And I kind of see them pulling out all the stops. I mean, they were super generous with this special pipe this tour, and I can see them being something similar with the generosity on these major events. But at the same time, I wouldn't. something else could come around where it's not as exciting. I don't think
there's going to be some duds.
I don't think it'll ever be as duddy as the Hanafuda pipe ever was.
You can't get duddier than that unless it was bubble pipe,
something like that. But
baby pipe is on the mix.
It's just going to be. It's going to be just. It's going to be cyclical. It's just going to have ups and downs and ups and downs.
Yeah. I will say that it's improved, but we're still looking for that like sequel to the throwback driver's pipe, where instead of the high end guarantee, they up the super rates and they give us a chance to do something like that. It would be nice to see something like that. They haven't. How long has it been since they've done just a glider pipe? I mean, the Hanafuda aside, I guess that. But that wasn't only gliders, was it?
It's been a while because I remember when Level 7 came out, we were all like, I can't wait to get my gliders maxed, and we were kind of hoping for like a glider only. I think the last one we had was the one with the Silver Manta glider and the Black Rate Sail back like early spring. Tabor might have the dates on those, but for what it's worth. Another question from Hero, and then I'll stop asking Hero questions, I promise. But Hero from this guy has asked, I think it's kind of like, two steps further. We've been talking about what's coming up in September, but how long do you think this Mario Kart Tour game will last?
The ultimate question.
So I wrote out some notes about some of these questions before we started recording today, and this is what I just went crazy about. I wrote more stuff about this than I have on
let's hear it.
My college term paper probably. But
get my
dissertation.
Yeah, I have some opinions, and this is something I actually thought about at the first anniversary. So I came from Madden Mobile, and it was built in such a way that every year, because it's all about NFL seasons, and they had to reintroduce new players and new concepts and everything like that. So every year they had a reset. So anything that you've done or anything you've accomplished got erased. Now you obviously you still had.
Are you kidding me?
Now listen to me. There's a catch in all this. You still had your rubies in this case. Cool. It wasn't called rubies then, but you have your premium currency that you were able to keep from season to season, but your coins reset, your players reset, all of your progress reset, but it was really just a brand new game. And they put it, you usually had like a 2 or 3 day downtime while they reset their servers and added the new season that they put in. And then it went from there. But the thing is that at the end of the season, before the reset happened, you had this checklist that you wanted to try to complete before all that was done. It was like having so many premium players. It was being able to complete this and complete that and complete this. And most of that stuff you've done if you've been playing the entire year. So depending on how well you did during that year, they gave you rewards at the beginning of the next year to put you in a better position to start off the next season. Compared to other people who didn't grind as much.
Start off better than
yeah, you got
because if they erase my game right now, I would just walk away.
Right, so they would
if they just said like
so like something that they would do is they would count the number of high-end drivers, high-end things that you have, or maybe the player levels, and then they would reward you accordingly the next time. You wouldn't obviously start with where you ended off, but you'd start somewhere much higher than what just a regular free-to-play player would probably have. It'd give you a benefit.
I hope this doesn't happen.
I know, and I don't think that's going to happen either. But at the same time, there's got to be an end game in sight. I mean, I think Nintendo, this whole game so far has been an instant gratification moneymaker for them. I don't think they really thought long term, because right now we have 235 courses in the game. We have 124 drivers. We have 166 karts. We have 119 gliders. That's 409 total DKGs in this game. And I mean, some of these, and it just has to happen with the sheer numbers. So many of these items are becoming obsolete. Yeah, we see them here and there, but there's so many of these items that nobody's ever using anymore. So I mean, it's just going to continue to pile on this obsolete list of things that you invested in early on and now are no longer using it again. It's just going to become a game of what have you gotten recently, because that's going to be the most important. And it's just going to continue to follow and follow and follow and follow. I mean, I don't know if you need all these stats, but I've got all the stats.
No, just spit them out. We'll see if someone else cares to them.
Here's what I've done over the past 26 tours, which is the one full calendar year. Here's what's happened. In terms of drivers, no normal drivers have been released or buffed in the last year. In terms of normal drivers, 5 normal drivers have been used in ranked in the last year. Only 5: Baby Peach, Baby Rosalina, Iggy, Ludwig, and Morton. Maybe that was 6. in terms of super drivers, 11 of them haven't been buffed in the last year, and I have all 11 on here for you.
What are the 11? You have to tell us now.
Okay.
Of course, Diddy Kong.
Birdo, light blue. Boomerang Bro, Bowser Jr., Daisy, Diddy Kong has actually not been buffed in 80 weeks. King Boo, Monty Mole, Red Koopa Free Running, Toad, and Toadette. None of them have been buffed over the last 52 weeks of the game.
52 weeks is 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Crazy.
and I've said forever, add more. I said first anniversary, I said add more normals and supers because we'll get more tracks and it will be almost like a reset on certain tracks. You can almost start a second group of a separate timeline of new buffs.
And we saw that with Blue Yoshi and Green Shy Guy, Green Shy Guy. All of those have been fairly useful and been jumped up to the very highest one. And the reason they've jumped up to the most valuable supers is because they're the most recent. They've been used the most. They've been buffed the most. I mean, they've got all that. 13 super drivers have been used 3 times or less in ranked, and that's out of however many that we've had. Diddy Kong has been used 0 times in ranked over the last year. Birdo Yellow's been used once, Black Shy Guy's been used twice, Donkey Kong's been used twice, and Yoshi's been used twice. This is a full calendar year, everybody. They've only been used once or twice. I know.
Wow.
And Morton's been used none. And Morton was the OG. I mean, everybody wanted to use him on Calamari with the giant banana, and now he's nowhere to be seen.
Totally.
In terms of
and his tracks, have better drivers on.
Right.
Them, I think,
for sure.
So yeah.
But he hasn't even been.
If he came back,
he hasn't even been appeared in ranked. I mean, that's the thing. I know you haven't used him, but he hasn't even been there. He hasn't given it a chance. And honestly, unless you're a new player, these normals are just sitting there wasting space. I mean,
they're only there to max out for a shop.
Exactly. That's the only reason for them. In terms of high-end drivers, 23 high-end drivers have been buffed 4 times or less. Now, that seems like a lot, but 23 out of the 124 total drivers in the game. Peachette has been buffed 0 times in the last 52 weeks.
Good.
Dry Bowser's been buffed once. Ice Mario's been buffed twice. Metal Mario's been buffed twice. Pauline twice. Peach Kimono twice. Peach Vacation only twice. Peach Wintertime twice. Pink Gold Peach has only been buffed 2 times, and Wario Hiker's only been buffed 2 times. Again, this is an entire 52 weeks of looking at this.
Wow.
12 high-end drivers have been used in ranked 6 times or less over the last year. The most notable is that Pauline has only been used in ranked 4 times. Peachette 5 times. Daisy Holiday Cheer 6 times. Dry Bowser 6 times. King Boo Luigi Mansion 6 times. And Mario Classic 6 times. Now, just to give you the raw numbers here, 52 weeks is 26 tours. Each tour has 6 ranked courses. So we're talking about 150 different possible times that they could have been used, and these people are only being used 6 or less times.
Yeah. Well, and it's basically they're making way for new characters, right? New drivers.
Exactly. And like I said,
which is fine.
It's all about a game of what have you gotten in the last 4 tours, because those are what's going to carry you in the next tour. And if you haven't you haven't been spending rubies, if you haven't been pulling pipes, if you haven't been lucky on the freebies and gotten any new characters or karts or gliders, that's why we're seeing so many people quit the game, because they log in for the first day on the tour, they look at their top shelf and it's empty, and they're like, well, there goes my ranked for the week, because I didn't pull last week.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I've always tried to say, like, if Morton just randomly got a top shelf, it would be amazing. Say there's a brand new track and it's Morton, a new high-end spotlight driver with a terrible item, and Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Or the same skill. That's a bad example, but Monty Mole or whatever. Then, it would. What if it forced players like Studfit, who have level 7 triple capped high-end drivers, to race a Ranks Cup track with Morton? Would that be so bad? it's still a relative. It's a competition on a smaller scale.
One thing that I'd love to see, and this is something I thought about a long time ago, is I'd love to see a ranked cup only have, they kind of like in multiplayer where they block out the top shelf and you're forced to use a middle shelf tire for everybody else. I would love it if everybody was forced to use a normal driver on ranked for all 3 cups, like just to kind of normalize things. And I know that Studfit's over there cussing me out in his head because he was like, I spent all this money, I get to use my people. Don't say I can't. but just to
Right.
try to regulate something, just to put a variety in things to kind of give it a little bit of an even playing field, or at least on a brand new track that's released. Because what we're seeing is the brand new tracks are just 4 or 5 really obscure high ends. These are high ends that are released in a 6% pipe. You know, the ones that people are like, well, I'm not going to go for that because I have better odds over here. And those are the ones that they're using every single time.
Yeah. It would be nice to bring, like, you know, DK or Bowser's or Daisy or Peach or Toad back at least every other tour. You're going to maybe, because when you go to level 7 triple cap, just like Pit Crew last week or Blue Yoshi this week, it can be a formidable choice, you know, or a good choice.
So Tabor,
I don't know.
You asked every question that we did not even know we had the question for there, so I really appreciate
Well, that was only
us.
drivers. I also have karts and gliders, but I decided to stop because that's a little long-winded, I thought.
Well, I thought that all that information is really wonderful. But to go back to the topic, how long do you think Mario Kart Tour will last?
So all that
It is hard to see an end
It is.
game.
All that to say is that characters being obsolete, and I don't know if there's a way to fix that other than doing what Sammy and you suggested, is trying to implement these back in, make them more relatable, or at least more usable in the game. But I don't see a long-term game. This is a short-term game that they've decided to keep going for 2 years now, for almost 3 years now, and I don't. There's got to be something that they're going to do, and I don't know if reset is the answer to that. That was a very different type of game that I was playing with Madden, but something has to be done. We've got over 400 drivers, karts, and gliders. And I mean, where's the limit? Where are they going to stop? Are they going to stop? You know, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Well,
I think we need at least 20 more Mario reskins. I'm just going to let you know that. What do you think, Sammy?
It's hard to imagine the end of the game. It's hard to imagine what that looks like when they shut the game down. Do you get to play the game still, or is it just? And does the last tour, like, you know, do you have all the tracks available? But maybe if they stop, let's say one day they will stop adding new content. But if there are modes like battle mode and multiplayer that eventually they invest in more, you could conceivably still play the game after they stop doing things. I don't know when that will be. It does just seem to be. It seems to be growing. Although our friend Couch, he posted a stat from his new phone. He got a new phone and went to the App Store, downloaded Mario Kart Tour, and it showed a graph of customer activity on the app. And I got to show it to you guys if you haven't seen it. But in the past 6 months, or 9 months, I think, a steady decline of download and user play. We don't know the numbers. We don't know if more people are playing or less. We don't know if, I mean, they are improving the game, which seems to suggest they want to keep it going. And I think we passed the point of, like, I was afraid the game would kind of die and shut down maybe like close to a year in. And then they did, you know, the new characters anniversary and more improvements since then. So it's really hard to imagine.
The stat that I would be most interested in is how many people have uninstalled the games over the last 6 months. Because just because there's not a download, that doesn't mean that they're running out of the fan base, because a lot of fan bases might have already downloaded the game and still have it. So that's going to always trickle off, I think. But yeah, player use, or just people that are like, I'm over it, let's uninstall. That's the one I'd be most interested in.
Yeah.
But they're clearly trying to incentivize people to come back with the Gold Pass renewal rewards and the return rewards. That means something. It means that they're trying to make sure people stay.
So that's actually a good point. So 2 things around that. One is just what you were going to say, which was obviously that, like, there's something is going on, the reason why they're trying to keep people continuing the Gold Pass. That there is something there to that. There's no doubt about that. But then also you think about, like, them releasing premium challenges. Like, ultimately for me, I think as long as this game is profitable, they're going to keep this game running. For, like, the premium challenges, like, that's an added source of revenue for them. Like, having, like, this pinch hitter, like, these are things that are good, should be good news for the non-whales, that somebody out there is going to be, you know, keeping this game going along based on that revenue. So, like, hey, it doesn't matter how many people are downloading or how many people are uninstalling. If the general person is paying more, or like a whale is paying more than they were last year, then they're going to counteract that. And the free players, like, they could drop off and Nintendo could care less. And there is that kind of that behind the scenes. Maybe that's why they're getting rid of these phones. Maybe they realize that like the people that are playing on those phones aren't on Gold Pass because they can't afford a new phone. So
good point.
That's a little cynical, but that probably could be true. There might be something to that. Is like, hey, let's look at our which are the most revenue generating players. Let's try to see if we can make them do this or that. Now I will say, and this is kind of the counterpoint, is like they're doing a lot to attract new players. Like if you think about the packs that they've been giving out, even this gold pipe, it's an amazing pipe. I'm talking to all the whales all the time in the ER server, and some of them are pulling for coins, but most of them are just saying like, I'm not really pulling this because I have everything at 7. So and that was with 7 being released not long ago. So yeah, I mean, I think from that perspective, things are a little different. Tabor, I do have one fact for you to answer for me. Knight Rosso asked the question, what is the rarest high-end of the game? I figured I'd kind of toss it in there while you're looking up stats. While you're looking up that, there is a very important question. I want to go ahead.
I have it ready. I already saw that question.
Of course
I got
you
it ready. So yeah, and I've got a rarity tab on my spreadsheet in the Mario Kart Tour data spreadsheet. So feel free to. So this came straight from that. But
wait, can I guess?
Yeah.
Sure.
So real quick, just for the
it's the rarest.
Before we start,
set the parameters.
Before we start, here's what I base all of this rarity on. And there's, from what I can understand, there's 10 different ways that you can acquire an item in the game. One is through daily selects. Not all items are obviously available, but that's one way you can get some items. Tour gift or gold pass gifts. Each tour, you can get it from the bundles or the banners that they make available, the $20 or $40 banners. Premium challenge cards, you can get an item from that. Just recently, they've been giving out ranked rewards, which you can get it from that. Token shops, tier shops, all clear pipe, today's challenge pipe, and pipe appearances. You can just get it from the general pipe. These are the 10 different ways to do that. So I've actually got a list of the top 5 rarest drivers, karts, and gliders. And Sammy, if you want to try to guess, I'm happy to listen.
In order, you gotta do it.
I really can't. I'd rather you just dish them out. I mean, I was remembering that Gold
Can you
Shot
guess
guy
number
was
one?
somewhat rare, but he's come back.
Guess one.
No, I don't even think I can anymore. I was gonna say Gold Shy Guy, but he just came back.
I think I can guess this one. Well, how about like Luigi Lederhosen or something?
Not in the top 5.
Like, okay, all right, then I give up.
So the thing that makes Luigi Lederhosen not as rare is because he was actually available in 2 pipes. We have quite a few different characters that have only been available in 1 pipe, which makes them a little bit more rare. But actually, the number 1 driver in the game that's the rarest is not ones that probably whales think about because that's almost a given for them to have each time, but it's Blue Cooper free running. It was only available as the top 3 ranked rewards compared to the other ones that were top 15. So there were actually less people that got Blue Cooper free running than...
But they could get them twice.
They had 2 chances to get them twice, but they had to be the top 3 of the ranked in each one of those.
Okay.
So,
okay. All right.
So depending on who
That's
it
fair.
is,
That's right.
that's
Okay.
where we are. Green Shy Guy and Blue Yoshi were the same thing. They were only available as a ranked reward, but they were.
But I bet you
top
if you looked at ownership of these drivers, they're not as rarely owned.
Probably so. So putting those aside, which I'm fine to do that with.
Okay, all right.
Then the number 1 rarest driver would be Fire Rosalina.
I can see that.
My girl.
You should have guessed. You should have guessed. It.
She saved me, man.
Yeah.
She saved
And then
me.
after that, I have
Saved my life.
After Fire Rosalina, I have Builder Toadette.
Builder Toadette.
Wow, really?
Interesting. I'm having to use her on this track for ranked on my gold pass only. Good. Okay. I didn't want to take too much time from that, but because I do want to spend the next 10 minutes talking about this really interesting topic. This original question, Sammy, maybe you can just help me just tweak his name because I really want to say it correctly. But Yaolin Zhao.
I call him Wanlin, but
Wanlin.
I don't know.
Okay.
But I have not heard him say it himself. But he's another one of the best players I've ever met. He's one of the kindest,
So kind.
most great sportsman, like such an awesome player of the game, and a great member and supporter to the whole community.
He's a well captain for you. He's a super stud for me. So I really want to get to this question and finish out on this awesome note, because we really had you heard the other audios. This one's just written down, but when do you generally feel that you've done enough grinding on a ranked track? And then he has two questions, so we'll just kind of take that one first, and maybe just take about we'll take about 2 minutes because I really want to get to this last one.
No, I mean never, right? I don't until I know I've won. Sometimes you're doing it on a Tuesday night at 11.
What
PM,
about sleepers? Well, I mean, even if you got like a 2,000, 3,000 point lead, I mean, do you still feel confident?
Right. I mean, we try to estimate. We try to look at their loadouts and estimate. We try to look at their patterns. But yeah, anything can happen. A sleeper can wake up at the end. I don't personally believe anymore in like the over baking thing at my tier. Kevin Garrett,
I agree.
He's done a lot of data crunching on free to play tiers in the lower, and he believes 100% that it has an effect, but it doesn't have as much an effect on us in our tier. That may be so, but for me, yeah, I mean, sometimes I just more and more try to score as high as I can, honestly, unless someone has reached out to me and said, hey, could you cool your jets? I want to win too. And you're in my ranks and stuff like that.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, somebody reached out to me. It was probably one of the worst days of my Mario Kart Tour because I had to like hold back.
Tough.
I had to hold back.
It's tough.
Oh, it was because that's me. Like I like being pit crew chief. I like being the top.
You're
friend.
the head of ER.
To be like.
Well,
I was like number 30th on my friends list, and I was like, I'm winning ranked.
Yeah,
and this other
that's
person,
what you play for.
So it was tough.
Yeah, that's what you play for. That's what brings you entertainment is to compete with friends. I mean, you don't. Every time someone reaches out to you and says you're in their ranked, I mean, you don't have to always accommodate. You can come up with some kind of.
And maybe that's another topic for another day because I do think there is some courtesy to try to do whatever you can. I just know like that's a big fear for me. Sometimes people ask me like, why'd you level up this person? Why'd you do this? You didn't have to. You could have won ranked without it. I'm like, dude, it's just a different. I'm playing this for different reasons than that.
Yeah.
But Tabor, generally, how do you feel that you've done enough to grinding for ranked?
Yeah, so kind of the same thing. I mean, whenever I don't know about you guys, but after when you're grinding for a while and then you end up having just the run of your life, you kind of feel it, you kind of know it, and you're like, I don't think I really can do much better unless I level up some of my items. And at that point, I just take a break. I move on to a different course and everything. But you just kind of, once you play this game long enough, you kind of know when you've had the run. And that's where I know that I can stop. But I mean, I do the same thing. I just check, especially on Tuesday nights for me before the reset. My reset is either at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. depending on time change. But I just kind of check it. And if there's sleepers out there, I just routinely check during the evening, and if I need to grind a little bit more, I will. But honestly, I've over the last few tours, I've kind of gotten to the mindset that if people pass me, they pass me, and it's not worth the stress and the anxiety really, and I'm just going to let it happen. And if I just have to miss out on if I have to go down a tier, or if I have to miss out on less rubies, it's not the worst thing in my life. So I don't put too much stress on it.
The tickets for second place have helped with that too, in terms of the improvements they've done. And yeah, at the end of the day, you got to get your best action count with your best loadouts without, emptying your resources, and that you've done your best then.
I will say, I'll see again. You know me, I'm always like slightly tech behind, but I'm going to try to show you something through a screen share. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
It's loading.
Yes.
I
okay.
We can't read it
for those who are. It's because of the font.
It's just tiny.
It's just small.
That's okay. For those who are listening to the podcast, I apologize, but I highly recommend you checking out the DKR's and the heat map spreadsheet, because what I do is I look at the action counts. There's times where I feel like I have this baller run, and I put in the action count, and it's still not great. So you see for these ranked courses, like you don't have to know the numbers, but they're color coded based off of the number you put in there. And so for me, like I know right off the bat, I have 6,000 points left on this cheap island R. So even though I got a double coin, I still have more points there, and it's more orange than this green. So that's all I wanted to kind of talk about is highly recommend. I know it says ACR, so you feel like, oh, I don't want to use it, but it's great for rank too. Really helps you out.
Yeah.
All right, so finally, the last question, and I apologize. I'll tie in 2 questions. This be Chris put out a good question, very similar. So,
What's up, Chris?
how do you decide on which high ends to triple on cap? It's been a hot topic in the community here. Yeah,
Whale problems.
Well, no, I mean it's a.
Nah, I'm kidding.
The reason I ask.
Half kid.
The reason I ask is I have 3, so for me it's like it's not as big of a deal. For you, like you might be triple on capping your first driver. We all get triple. We all get those caps.
Sure.
Relatively the same amount. Like I might have like 4 or 5 because I bought them from the tier shop. But other than that, we should all really be having the same amount of tickets, which I think was really smart. Like that probably saved the game for Nintendo. I think like that we have totally different loadouts. But you have to be so selective. You are putting so many eggs, Sammy, Tabor, especially Tabor, so many eggs in that one basket. How do you decide on that basket? Chris asked it very similar too. How do you go about deciding on double versus triple capping? Steph has touched on this before. Once you have a certain amount of double capped high ends, it seems reasonable to start shifting your focus on triple capping your studs. But when is the optimum time to start doing this? I really want to hear from you guys. I already kind of know where I stand on things.
I know your answer. Yeah, which is great. I mean, like riding the waves of the new, hottest, most buffed things. King Babam had a huge rocket to the top of the stats, and so you can't argue with that being a good call to triple cap them. You know what I mean? As a coin boxer and as a large driver too. So yeah, but you can say more about your philosophy there. I'm more of a double cap, kind of like I lean double cap. Like I don't think I've triple capped any high ends.
No.
Gliders. For someone like, let me check, but I don't think I have. Like, so you being a pay to win whale, whatever. Tabor being gold pass only with occasional commemorative, which is nice to see you do. But I'm doing 1 pack a tour. That's my thing right now, plus premium challenges. So I'm in this middle ground. And for my world in the game, yeah, I mean, I've triple capped like Pit Crew Toad. Like I'll triple cap a super in that case because you're already having to work with a lower stat with a super in ranked, so you want to get that base point as high as you can. But for me, there's still lots of high ends that I want to double cap. And I, more than a lot of people maybe, am very into double capping in a ranked mode situation. Because I still am in this phase where I want those 20 rubies that differentiate between second and first, because I'm not buying tons of rubies. And so I will double cap something. I mean, if it's like a terrible cart and it has no value in y'all's top 10s and stuff, I'm obviously not going to do it. But I would rather double cap 2 things than triple cap 1 thing almost any day of the week. Now, there will come a point soon, and maybe it's PGP, maybe it's King Babam, where I will do a triple, at some point soon, I'm sure. But
keep in mind
it scares me.
Yeah, I was going to say, keep in mind what Tabor just said. I mean, PGP's only been gotten 2 buffs in the last 52 tours.
For some reason, she's still crushing for me. I don't know why. It's always like she keeps coming back in for me and using it.
So who will be your first triple cap? When will you make that decision, and who will it be? Is it someone who's not here yet?
Well, all I know is, like, for example, I only have 10 driver point cap tickets right now. So if I
sounds like a great number.
It's a great number, and let's say
it.
like I'm in 4th place, and I'm actually in a really suspenseful ranked this week. It's very interesting. I'm in contact with someone in my ranked who's in contact with one of my members who has them in their ranked. It's a crazy web going on right now. But if I wanted to throw down and say, okay, Bowser Santa, I want to triple cap him, I could do that. But I'm really scared of going into the next tour with 0 driver cap tickets. So that's the fear for me. I always want to have at least a double prepared. So I would have to have 15 driver cap tickets for me to feel really comfortable with doing that.
So, but then for you, ultimately, when you pull the trigger will be due to ranked and wanting to win.
It'll be due to ranked. Due to like maybe it's a driver week and I really want to win that week and it's King Babam Gold and I know that'll be a good move anyways. And I have maybe 12 tickets and I'm going to get some more, something like that. That's what it would be for me.
Okay. Yeah, I want to know like what exact stars have to align
For a high end.
you know?
For a high end.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. Tabor, being free to win. What is your strategy?
Free to win would be nice.
Free to win. Free to lose.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, it's more like it. Yeah, so for me as Gold Pass only, triple cap that might be the first time I've ever said it. It's not even in my vocabulary, honestly.
Exactly. Even for me, it's still kind of
it's not viable for me, and it's not that I don't have the resources. I was just looking. I've got about 30 cap driver tickets and 30 cap kart tickets, and I'm really, really strict when it comes to using any tickets.
You've got 30 driver high-end tickets?
I have 30 cap high-end tickets.
Wow.
For drivers.
Wow. I mean, that's very impressive. That's very impressive.
So I'm more of in your ballpark, although I don't have anything triple capped. I've got just a few things double capped, and pretty much I single cap anything that's going to be my main go-to top shelf in ranked that's not already single capped, because it's only one ticket, and I can spare that, and I'll put it on something and everything. So
Sure.
I actually have a few level 2 single caps running around here, and I know it probably doesn't make sense because you don't get that much bonus.
Wow.
But I'm just, it's not that big of a risk for me just to put one on something every now and then. And most of the time I don't have to do that because all these are going to come back around and they're already single capped. But for me to double cap something, I'm not even going to go into the triple cap world because that's not where I'm at, and that's not where I plan to be probably anytime soon. It's for me to double cap something, they have to be in ranked, preferably more than once during a tour, so it can benefit me in more than one place. They also have to consistently be a top leveled item in terms of on my list or on Bam and Gerb's list or whatever like that, just for me to know that it's worth it. I'm not going to go out there and be like, hey, my Fair Flyer is already level 6. I might as well double cap it. That doesn't make sense. It's got to be mutually beneficial for me, both now and in the future. For me to be able to do that. But I'm pretty rare with all that stuff. I try to hoard as much as I can because I never know down the road whether something new is going to come along that I'm really going to need. And I'm the same with you, Sammy. I don't ever want to go into a new tour with single digits or less than 5 of something.
Well, 30 is still a lot.
Yeah, I know. I know I got it. But
cool.
I mean, like you said, using 10 on one item, I'd rather use 10 on 2 different items to double cap than the triple cap. And I know the benefit would be there.
I double capped.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just since I'm working on this Ninja Shy Guy situation on LA, and I don't have a cart. So I have this. I'm going to have a high-powered driver, and then I took the new gold home field to 3. It's not even level 4 yet, but I went ahead and double capped it because I need every point I can get to do this week.
Yep.
And if I think that glider is going to be, I predict it will be good long term because it was the special spotlight. I'm going to go and double cap it, and I know I'm going to get more tickets coming this week. The 6 tickets for winning is really nice because you can be down to 4 and then suddenly you're back at 10. That's really been great. And plus you get an extra thrown in for total points challenge now.
All right, guys, so we are at time, and we do have to wrap up. I will say, I know you guys already know from watching different stuff that what my philosophy is, but I kind of want to end on this story, and then I'll let you guys say goodbye. But there's been actually a wage that's been made. I don't know if how many of you are watching Frenzy Fans, but we've actually had kind of a back and forth where I think his name is Jeff with Frenzy Fans. He didn't think that Tuxedo. He made a good point that there are not a lot of Marios in the top 10, which is true. Other than Mario, Chef Mario, and Mario Halloween, we haven't really had one. So his thought process, maybe the Marios are like never going to really break that, or have a really hard time breaking it. So I said I put it out there. I thought Tuxedo Mario would be top 10 by the anniversary, which is September 25th. So he did not think so. So we made a wager. If he does make the top 10, then he's got to dress up as Tuxedo Mario for one of his videos. And if he does not make the top 10 by the anniversary, I have to do the rundown in a Santa outfit with gold lights around my neck. So wages have been made. This is a very serious topic about triple capping. You know my opinion on it. It's for me. It's like I want to hit them while they're peaking. That is a whale move. But you also, Sammy, you see this. I don't put cap tickets on drivers that don't have Coinbox, that don't have Lucky 7. You saw me use DK SNES. Just
you don't put
flat
any
800.
at all.
No.
Any at all.
Nope.
That's surprising to me.
No, I want them all. I want to triple cap all my
I get it. I mean, yeah, you're going to get more bang for your buck that way. But I'm more struggling week to week to like fight, So I think that's why.
That's fair. So that's it, guys. This is our first podcast. We did it. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Good job, everyone.
Everybody.
Good.
Awesome. Thanks.
So Tabor, Sammy, some parting words. We'd love to hear you guys say goodbye to your fans. Thank you so much for joining us, Sammy. This has been awesome, man.
Of course, man. I mean, I just like you guys, I've talked with some of the other guys about there really should be a podcast, and man, anytime you guys want to have me, or if you want me to come back next week, just say the word. I love talking about the game. I talk about it all day, all night. Really, especially with guys like you, different perspectives and different brains. It's really fun to talk about. So thank you, and shout out to all my pit crew and all my folks, my crew, and the Kart Lifers. And thanks.
For me personally,
Tabor?
I think this was just a really, really good idea to get this podcast going. We've got 3 people here with 3 completely different kind of styles of play, different perspectives, different backgrounds, different strategies, and it's just really good to be able to kind of bounce around some ideas, get some different perspectives on things. And, everything that we say is a lot of speculation, especially on the future stuff of this game. But that's the fun of it. Whether we're right or wrong, it's just fun to kind of dream of what's going to be. But, as Sammy said, we do need to temper expectations for the future. And, but one thing that you can't temper for your expectations is the rundown and this podcast, because I think hopefully this continues to stay strong and good things will be in the future for us. I just really enjoyed doing this. So thanks for bringing me along.
Awesome, Tabor. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Tabor, and thank you for everything that you do for my channel. I just tell my wife, like, actually probably people actually I think Tabor actually has surpassed me in being a fan favorite. So I think you got more fans than I do. But ultimately, thank you for joining us. If you'd like to be able to ask questions or be able to be featured on the podcast, definitely look at our memberships and take a look to see if those make sense for you. But ultimately, we wanted to get you guys involved in our content and get your feedback and get you guys involved. So thank you to those who asked questions. We got some great questions from Jeeves, from Natt, Jowl and Jow. Thank you guys so much for what you guys do. But I try to get everyone's at least one question from everybody. So thank you to my members. You guys are awesome. Thank you. You guys make this happen. So until the rundown, have a great rest of your week and hope you win ranked. Make the frenzy luck be with you. Thanks, guys.